If you're a high functioning woman, or you used to be one, and you're struggling with life, or you can't work anymore because of a physical condition, maybe you have chronic fatigue, chronic pain, or something that doesn't allow you to work and live the life that you live to work, and you've tried everything to heal, from therapy to energy healing to meditation. You've analyzed yourself, trying to understand how you ended up in the place where you are, but the healing isn't happening. You're still feeling miserable, exhausted, your chronic conditions aren't going away. And I just want to say that you're not doing anything wrong, but you might be trying too hard in the wrong area, because the nervous system doesn't heal that way. It doesn't like to be forced and pushed. That puts it into a stress state, even if it's towards the goal of healing. And what really is needed for nervous system healing, for emotional regulation, for physical healing, is to go at a pace where we can slowly find safety in our body, for the body then to do the healing. So it's not about trying harder and pushing harder, but it's rather learning how to surrender, let go, and let the body do its thing. I'm Naomi Galinsky, a somatic trauma therapist and somatic experiencing practitioner and a nervous system educator. I came to this work because of my own decade-long healing from chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, IBS, chronic migraines, insomnia, and a whole host of illnesses and symptoms. And now I help other high-functioning women who are stuck with chronic fatigue and chronic illnesses, reconnect with their bodies so that they get to experience physical and emotional well-being. And this channel here is for you to understand your human experience through the lens of nervous system, trauma resolution, inner child work, and transpersonal patterns. How do you know and how do you decide when trying harder isn't really working? And I was in that boat of when I had chronic fatigue. I didn't even know I had that yet. I just thought I was tired, I was exhausted, burnt out. I didn't really know how severe my symptoms were. At the beginning, I kind of brushed it under as like, I'll figure out what this is, heal, and then in 3 months' time, I'll bounce back, which didn't happen. 4 years later, I was still stuck in the same place. And I started with dieting. Maybe I had to clean up my diet. So I went on so many strict diets. And I did the keto diet. It made me feel a little bit healthier. But then I plateaued. So I thought I have to double down even further. So I did the keto diet even stricter for 2 years. Or meditation. I just had to meditate harder. And went to meditation retreats. I did the Vipassana retreat 3 times, which I don't regret. I've learned a lot of things. Or supplements, like just take more supplements. I took so many supplements, like armfuls of supplements, and I wasted so much money on them. But anyways, that was my learning journey. But I wasn't feeling better. That was the thing. I tried these things, and after 3 months, 6 months, a year, I was still stuck in the same place. Meaning my exhaustion didn't get better. The tightness in my body was still the same. I was still stuck in loops of emotional overwhelm. So I would get overwhelmed, have a good cry, process that, and think it's over. But somehow I end up in the same situation again a little while later. I'm going to talk about patriarchal conditioning for a moment. I know that P word contains so much charge. People don't like hearing about it, but listen to me. I'm not here to bash men. I am not to just blame and just say patriarchy is fault in everything. No, I just want to put things in context so that we have information so that we can heal these parts in us. So one of the conditionings that we women learn through the patriarchal system is that if you're not better, if you're not doing well, it's because you haven't tried hard enough. And that makes sense if our value and our worth is tied to perfectionism, competence, excellence, and productivity. And this condition becomes internalized into, I should be further along. I just need to push harder. If only I can figure this out, then I'd be doing better than now. And on top of that, Women's nervous systems are wired to endure and tolerate stress longer than men. So this works against us. We tolerate stress longer. We stay in functional dysregulation longer. We push through until we get overwhelmed a lot longer than for men. So there is a book that I read it in. I think it's Burnout by the Nagoski sisters. I can't remember the names, but they put in a description of an experiment on mice where they would put them in water in a water tank with no exits. So that would stress mice out because they can't swim forever. And what happened was that the men, they gave up by rolling onto their backs and exposing their stomach and just floating and giving up. Consistently, they gave up earlier than female mice. So the female mice would swim a lot longer trying to survive this impossible situation than men. So we push past our capacities much more frequently than men do. So we need to have that in context as well. And then third thing is that the Western mindset, and this also comes from the patriarchal system of disconnecting the mind from the rest of the body. So we become this like analytical thinking being. And for some reason, patriarchy decided that the mind is more important than the body. But we have this mindset that if we can just understand it, then we can change things. But that doesn't work for things that are rooted in the nervous system. Healing isn't a cognitive process because emotions, unresolved trauma, trapped stress and anxiety that lives in our body. So we can't think our way through to healing. And Peter Levine mentions in one of his books, I think it's An Unspoken Voice, but he says that understanding, insight, and change are rarely the same thing. What do we women then do to heal? Women, we are actually naturally more embodied beings than men. And if we learn that, it comes to our advantage because intuition, insight, it comes from our body. It's connected to gut feeling, gut intuition. To start processing the stress, the anxiety, the trapped emotions, the unresolved traumas from our childhood, our family system, ancestrally, societally, from collective patriarchal trauma from millennia of years, all of that requires us to slow down enough to start sensing our body and feeling into what do these things actually feel like in the body? What are the sensations of stress? What are the sensations of the emotions like fear, grief, sadness, anger, rage, all of that? And that doesn't come from a place of trying harder, feeling, muscling our way through to feel all of our emotions at once. Again, as I said at the beginning, it doesn't work. The nervous system healing doesn't work that way. Building safety and capacity to feel these really scary, difficult sensations, emotions, feelings takes time to build. Trust the timing of our body and allow things to unfold in its own timing, in the body's way. Then the healing actually starts to begin, and the healing happens faster than trying to force it upon us. So that was true for me. 4 years of being stuck in chronic fatigue because my mentality was, I just need to find that thing to heal. And my body resisted being pushed into healing. And once I discovered somatic experiencing and started having somatic experiencing therapy sessions, once I started learning about the nervous system through Irene Lyon's Smart Body, Smart Mind program, and started learning about the language of my nervous system, I realized that I had to slow the F down. And I had to also be much more gentler with myself. And that's a learning process. To go from pushing and driving to decondition that mentality takes time. But as we begin that healing process at the deep somatic nervous system place, this is where the root of our trauma lives in. As we begin to heal at that root level, at that nervous system level, then self-blame starts shifting into self-understanding and more self-compassion. Instead of overriding our responses and pushing through, we begin to respond to situations. We can take rests and breaks or do something that helps support the regulation and safety of our nervous system. Instead of feeling collapsed and low energy, we have now more capacity to function in the world, and not just function, but thrive. We have more creativity, more excitement in our lives. And instead of being always in survival mode, there is an aliveness now that comes through us. And instead of feeling alone in this struggle, we start realizing that we have a community of people, and that's so many, that we're in the collective of so many women experiencing and feeling the same thing. And just being seen and heard and understood and validated for that experience by other women without being judged and blamed is so healing. In closing, when you are down, that mentality, that conditioning, that narrative we've been told that we just need to try harder, because if we're failing, if we're not feeling well, it's all our fault and it's because we haven't done well enough. That isn't what leads us to healing. That is actually what got us in trouble and stuck and sick in the first place. So knowing that, learning how to put that story aside and connecting to what our nervous system actually needs, connecting somatically with the sensations and emotions that are in our body, learning how our nervous system communicates with us, what it needs. That is what restores, what brings true nervous system regulation and true healing back into our lives. If this resonated, please like or subscribe to this channel. It really helps and it's free. And if you're curious about doing somatic experiencing and somatic therapy with me, then check out the resources in the description. There's some free stuff. There's information to my programs and also contact information if you want to just reach out to me.